is actually effective. I think that authoritarian leaders, fascists throughout history, they do not like to be made fun of. They do not like to be mocked. Donald Trump does not like to be mocked. And I think we need to get back to, like, he is an extremely scary demagogue, right? That we've said a million times. You got to take him seriously and literally. We've all seen it in action for 4 years. Guy tried
Did you do seriously and literally?
Seriously and literally, yeah. We all
seriously and literally.
He's, he tried to overturn the election, incited an insurrection, all of that for sure. Second term would be fucking terrifying. But he's a clown. And I think for a lot of Americans, they don't want to be embarrassed by their president. They don't want to elect a clown as a president. They don't want to have someone who says crazy shit all the time. Even among Republican voters, the only sort of crack in the armor there is when they say, oh, well, I don't like his tweets and I don't like his behavior. I wish he would, And so that is Donald Trump's weakness. And I think getting that out there more, reminding people of that more is going to be important. And I think that's slightly different than saying he's lost a step, but it does require us to make sure that people are consuming content where Trump is acting as crazy as he always has been.
I think the way to think about the crazy Trump moments is to make him seem weak. Because too much of Donald Trump is running on a classic strongman strategy. And too much of our messaging reinforces that element of him. He's an authoritarian. He's going to overturn the election. That all makes him seem powerful. In fact, in some ways, the indictments have made him seem more powerful. Not so much if he is marched out of a courtroom in an orange jumpsuit. That will not make him seem powerful.
No, that doesn't.
But the fact that, the narrative that all of these government agencies, the deep state, everyone is coming after him, is something he has turned into an evidence of his strength. Our messaging needs to be about evidence of his weakness. And that's what I think the moments that are currently being put through this cognitive decline framework can be used for, right? Is that this guy, he is a clown. He is not serious.
You can't be strong if you're a joke, I think is the important thing here. Just calling him, we have to show his weakness, and not tell people he's weak because people aren't going to be primed to think he's weak. But if he's a joke, if he's mockable, if everyone's laughing at him, no one's really afraid of him. That's not scary. That's not strong. He wants us to be afraid of him. He wants to seem powerful and strong. And I do think mocking him is going to help fix that a little bit.
Do you remember the ad the Biden campaign ran in early 2020 with the footage of all the world leaders laughing about Trump from some sort of G20 or something like that?
Yeah.
And people, I think you, a lot of us said that this was a great ad. And a lot of people were like, no one cares about foreign policy. People hate other countries. It's no, the point here is he's a joke.
Yeah.
Right? And a joke cannot be a strong man who can protect you from chaos in the world.
This is former Obama speechwriter Jon Favreau and communications director Dan Pfeiffer during a recent episode of Pod Save America, laying out perfectly the formula we should be using to fight Donald Trump. Because remember, Trump's strength is derived from the fact that he views himself as a strong man. He doesn't like to be made fun of, he doesn't like to be mocked, he's not in on the joke, and he doesn't know how to laugh.
I like this guy.
And that's because, A, he's a narcissist, but B, more importantly, being mocked undermines the one thing that he believes makes him powerful, which is, again, the illusion of strength. That wars don't start while he's in office, that terror attacks don't occur while he's in office, that crime goes down while he's in office, because he's so tough and no one would dare test him. And of course, all of those things are abject lies, but he knows that if he says it regardless, his supporters will believe it. And so the onus is on us to pierce that illusion, that branding, by exposing who Donald Trump actually is. And it is anything but a strongman. But to do that, first and foremost, we need a progressive media ecosystem that can take on the disinformation machine on the right. We need to make sure our megaphone is big enough so that we're able to counteract their dominance and reach the vast majority of Americans, which starts right here. So if you're not subscribed to Pod Save America's YouTube channel, follow the link right here on the screen to subscribe, or click the link in the post description of this video. And to that end, once we are able to reach people, we should be not shying away from fights, but picking them, to John and Dan's exact point. Putting on full display his gaffes, calling him out when he lies, exposing when his position changes, showing Americans that far from being the tough strongman that he wants to be viewed as, that in actuality, he is a bumbling, doddering, confused, weak, professional victim who cannot spell basic vocabulary words and who the whole world thinks is a joke. And don't take my word for it, here's just a small sampling of some of Trump's gaffes from just the last few weeks.
They were interviewing him 2 weeks ago, and they said, what would you advise President Obama? The whole world seems to be exploding and imploding. And he said, it's very simple. he should immediately resign, and they should replace him with President Trump. As you know, crooked Joe Biden and the radical left thugs who have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading political opponent. They're leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. This is the same thing. The country is very divided. And we did with Obama. We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won.
Right, it's all coming through Iran, and Obama he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't even mention them in his statement. It's all coming through Iran.
Well, you mean President Biden?
You know, I was very honored as a man. Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. And he's the leader of, he's the leader of Turkey. Fronts on both Russia. And a very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. And thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you, I'm for us. You know how you spell us, right? You spell us, U.S. I just picked that up. Has anyone ever thought of that? I just picked that up. A couple of days I'm reading and it said us. And I said, you know, if you think about it, us equals U.S. Isn't that? We have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
So if you mean to tell me that that guy is competent or strong or qualified, the guy who doesn't know who the president is, who doesn't know that World War II already happened, who doesn't know that Jeb Bush was never president, then you and I have very, very different definitions of strength. And by the way, I know that the prevailing wisdom immediately after the 2020 election was that we need to stop talking about Trump, that he benefited so much from the wall-to-wall coverage that he was afforded in 2016, and that the media needs to learn its lesson. Here's the counterpoint to that. Because we have such a short memory in this country, Americans are beginning to forget the chaos that came with the Trump presidency and the utter exhaustion that ultimately led to his ouster from office. And don't think for a second that he's not banking on that short memory to propel him back into the White House in 2024. So while I absolutely understand and appreciate the virtues behind depriving Trump of the oxygen that he needs when he last left office, I think there's some value to making sure that people remember just how unqualified, just how incompetent, and just how weak this guy really is. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel.
I like
and do
this
your part
guy.
to help
I
grow
didn't
the
have to say
progressive media
nothing. Have a
ecosystem.
nice day.
I don't do sponsorship.